All right, chapter 5, the truth that sets you free. So this chapter has a couple definitions, has some instructions, and it goes in a little more detail about how to assume and the nature of controlling what you, or the nature of affecting and effecting, as in causing whatever you want. Okay, so let's read on. The first note that I have is a summary of the the first few sentences. So it goes like, the drama of life is a psychological one in which everything are brought to pass by your assumptions. And since your life is determined by those, you're forced to recognize that you can either be subject to them or you can control your assumptions. Because he just established that. He establishes that fact that assumptions create reality. So therefore, you have to adjust to it. Okay, so become to become the master is the key to control. Well, freedom and happiness, undreamed of. And he says that you can. I'm just summarizing here. Your assumptions form of 3D. You can. Control it by forming a mental image of the person that you want to be, and then visualize it, and then concentrate the attention and the feeling that you already are. Feel yourself in that state as if it were your world. So right here, form a mental image, and then concentrate your attention. And then he goes into more detail, I guess. Visualize the picture in your subconscious, in your consciousness. Surrounding world. Okay. By your imagination, that which was a mere mental images changed to seemingly solid reality. So these first few paragraphs were like, your assumptions form the world. You can control your assumptions by creating mental images and then fixing your attention and the feeling on them until feel yourself to be in that state, as though it actually formed your surrounding world. Okay, the great secret. There we go. Next sentence. Great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished. It cannot be emphasized too much that by assuming you identify yourself with it. I think he's just saying he's restating what assuming something is. If you assume that you're a good person, then you're going to identify yourself as a good person. And when somebody says you're a bad person, you're going to be like, oh, no, actually, I'm not. It's the same thing. Identifying yourself is assuming. I think so anyway. Then he further defines identifying yourself as thinking from the ideal instead of thinking of. So it's I am instead of I want to be. Okay, and then he defines resting in your assumptions as subjection to the will of God or resting in the Lord. Or he defines identifying yourself with the assumption that you are what you want to be. That's resting in the Lord. Now, the key is he introduces a couple key terms, well, a couple key words here. So resting, and so I want you to pay attention to what resting means to you, and just pay attention to it in general here for this. I think the next two paragraphs, the next couple of paragraphs, and resigned will. But he defines resigned will in the next phrase. Okay, so the tests are, okay, the true test of resting in the Lord, which is conforming to your ideal, identifying yourself with your ideal. The test is what results? Yeah, okay, that they're transformed. Okay, not really a test, but it's a result, I think. Anyway, okay, you become according to your resigned will. Resigned will is the concept of yourself. that you believe to as true, that you believe to be true. Concept of self plus assumptions. So that's another thing that I think that we all should keep in mind is what do we assume to be true and consent to as true? That's also our resigned will. What we give up. We give up according to what we assume to be true. I'm rephrasing resigned. Resigning is like, okay, just giving it up. Like not trying anymore. It's just you're telling yourself that, for example, you're rich or you have your special person, and that's just how it is. It's resting in the Lord. All right. So what do we have next? You're subject to your assumptions. Okay. Okay, you assuming, same thing, take upon yourself the results. If you don't assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, of your wish fulfilled, then you're ever free. You're not. You're a slave to your assumptions. Okay, when you understand the redemptive function of imagination, you hold in your hands the key. Every phase in your life is made by the exercise. Okay, determined imagination alone. Oh, right. Okay, so I was just expanding on thinking from. I don't think he introduces creation is finished yet, but he did say this or somewhere. Actually, I want to possibility when thinking from possibility. Go back. What was that? Ah, okay, yeah. So going back up, yeah. Every state is a mere possibility. Sorry, we're scrolling back up. We were up here. Ever free of the results. Well, I was reading this. Okay, so he says, let me read it out loud. Every state is already there as mere possibilities as long as we think of them, but as overpoweringly real when we think from them. So that's resting in the Lord. And so I took notes. So the creation is finished. So it's every state is already a possibility that you can, as a limited manifestation of I am, can experience. Versus creationist possibilities. I think they're one and the same. They're not. There's not a versus here. No, it's the same. It's just that we humans are like we can't experience everything at the same time, or more than what we can experience at one time. Okay, imagination. I don't think I went into this in my notes. A great secret is a controlled imagination and well-sustained attention, firmly and repeatedly focused on the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it. So until it, and then this blank thing or this idea. He's defined before in several ways. Here, he says that you're supposed to focus and maintain your attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it fills the mind and crowds all other ideas out of a consciousness. He's said this before. Another way that you can interpret this, or that we have read, is you're supposed to focus on feeling which fulfilled. Let it consume you until it has it becomes very real to you, and you can feel like it is very real to you. Crowds all the other ideas is renouncing evil, which is something that we'll go over later. Okay. And then he says that the truth that sets you free is a great gift, and you can experience in reality. The truth that sets you free is that you can experience in imagination what you want to experience, or what you experience in reality, what you experience in imagination. And that's how you control your reality. Okay, you are limited. And so he imposes some limits here. He says that you're limited only by your uncontrolled imagination and a lack of attention to the feeling of the field. So he's, what's the word I'm calling? Insinuating. He's insinuating that if you had controlled imagination and a lack of attention, and complete attention to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, then you would not be limited at all, which is interesting to think about. And probably you could get there. Maybe you can't as a human, but you can probably get there through focus exercises, training your focus, training your imagination, doing that thing you do at the end of the day where you think back on all the events. He talks about that here in the book later on. That's hard to do. It's interesting though. Like you really like mindfulness is all throughout the book, I think, because you have to sustain attention and you have to monitor your reactions to know what you consent to as true. Okay, let's move on. This next point here. Your limits. Okay. Yeah, I put it in a formula. So that is what your limits are. Uncontrolled imagination plus lack of attention to, or multiplied by, in relation to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So if you don't have those two things, then those are your limits. You'll be limited. Okay, everything in life must be an investment. Okay, the amount of prayer. Okay, so prayer or piety or invocation does not have any results here. No amount of prayer or piety or invocation can produce the desired effect. You have to control your imagination and sustain your attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That's the only way you can do it. So you're in control, and you have to take responsibility for your own reality, which is, if you need a pause the video, think about that. Feel free. When you can call up at will whatever you imagine. Okay, then you're master of your fate. Okay, so he says another rule. When the forms of your imagination are as vivid to you as the forms of nature. He doesn't say exactly what nature is, but we can assume that it's your reality, like your senses. If those are real, then you're master of your fate. I'm curious. I've done a couple sats where I've felt something as completely real, and it just lasted a few seconds. So one was when I saw a certain amount of money on my phone, and it was like I was there. It was like a dream, but it only lasted a few seconds, and I felt like I was actually there, because I've lucid dreamed before. I've definitely dreamed before, and I can tell the difference. But I'm wondering if anyone has had specific visions due to, or yeah, probably due to sats that they've done in relation or relating to that particular vision. So one was someone touched me, and I felt like I was actually touched. And then the other one was seeing the thing on my phone, and again, it just lasted a few seconds. It was after sats, and it was strange. But yeah, let me know and talk about like exactly what you felt, because I'm getting data here in the Inquirer. All right, okay, and then he goes and adds this thing: you must stop spending your thoughts, your money, your time, and your investment. What? And you're right. Everything in life must be an investment. Okay, and then he quotes someone, I don't know. I don't think I laid it out here. This is others call it God. Oh, who is that? Is that Emerson? I don't know. I think I looked it up somewhere. Anyway, So and then he appends the chapter, I think, yeah, with this story about the wife being awakened by a voice telling her to stop spinning and start investing thoughts, time, money. So to invest is to lay out for a purpose in which a profit is expected. Now, and then he says, the revelation of my wife is about the importance of the moment. It is about the transformation of the moment. It is only what is done now that counts. Whenever we assume the feeling that we're fulfilled, the feeling, right? Assume the feeling of what we want to be, we're investing. So let's take the last few sentences here. It is about the transformation of the moment. Because you can't control what happened in your subjective past. You can't control what happens in your subjective reality up to a certain point, or a subjective future up to a certain point, which is, if you control your assumptions, then you have some degree of control over your future. And one could argue, I guess, as well, you can change your past with revision. But here, what you do now can influence everything. So it's very important that you have a lot of control over now, over what you do, like at this very second, at every second of every day. Okay. And then I'm just gonna reiterate or repeat. To invest is to lay out for a purpose, that from which a profit is expected. Now, if you spend your time, thoughts, and your money, then you are not being a good steward of what you are given. If you purposely say, okay, well, if you first monitor what you say, how you spend your time, how you spend your money, then you can keep track of how you spend each of those resources. What was I going to say? Yeah. So first you have to take stock of what you have. That way you can allocate those resources wisely, like a good steward, like that servant with the talents and stuff. Okay. Yeah, so you gotta be mindful. I mean, it's just as easy. I can say it. And it's easy to say, but it's very difficult for people to do for the majority of the day. Which is why I think you should have a mindfulness practice. Okay. Chapter 6, we're almost done. All right, so chapter 5, I'm going to go ahead and summarize it. It just so happened that it took 20 minutes to go over. Okay, so you went over how to achieve your desires and define it here. Okay, perfect. So you picture what you want and feel as if it were real. And he redefined this one, feel as if it were real. He gave a couple different definitions of this. Let's see, do I go over that? Yeah. Okay. Oh man, there was like 3 of them. There's like 2 separate definitions. You feel as if it were your world, and it means the same thing. Okay, effects of controlling assumptions is a change of identity. That's important. Concept of self is everything. It's what you assume I am to be. That will have an impression on reality. Okay, importance of controlling your assumptions, because the truth that sets you free is that you can control reality by your assumptions, and it is the way to achieve what you want. He said in the chapter that it's the key to undreamed of freedom and happiness by controlling your assumptions. What did he say? To become the master of your assumptions. Okay, and you become the master of your assumptions by controlling your imagination. Yeah, and then sustain your attention. Those 2 things. Remember, controlling your imagination and sustaining your attention. I think those are two halves of the same coin. If you take the foundational facts, I haven't said those in a while. If you take those in mind and live by them, then you'll automatically maintain or watch what you're conscious of, and conscious, and as you go throughout your day, adjust your assumptions if your assumptions are undesirable. Okay, be purposeful in what you spend, maintain. Yeah, I already went over mindfulness. All right, chapter 6. We'll go over that in the next video. Bye.